Greetings, traveler, and welcome to another one of my speed builds. For today, our travels bring us to Henford On Bagley, and we're building an English countryside manor. And this is based on a real-life historic building in England, but I'm not recreating the whole estate because it's massive. So this is just part of it, like two facades of the real building, and it's the Ogston Hall. So basically, it is a mix of different styles, like the real house, but it's mainly Gothic. So I'm just gonna read some information about the estate from a bit from Wikipedia and then from another website. So Ogston Hall is a privately owned 18th century country house situated at Brackenfield near Alfreton, Derbyshire. I know I'm butchering the pronunciation. It is a Grade 2 listed building. A building on the site is listed on the Domesday Book as part of the Danecourt Manor of Morton. The rival family of South Normanton held Ogston in the 14th century by marriage to the Danecourt heiress. The house has its own origins about 1500, but was much altered in the 17th century by the rebels. A two-story northwest wing with attics and basement was added in 1659, and a connected stable block was added in 1695. The earliest member of the family of whom anything is known was Thomas Revel of Ogston, sergeant-at-law who made a fortune from lead smelting. His will of 1474 survives. So basically, the rest of the article goes on about the history of the house. It's a lot of dates, a lot of names, so I'm gonna skip that. But I want to mention what's interesting about this manor and the architecture of it. So this is from the historichouses.org website about Ogston Hall. It says it's an interesting example of the organic growth of the use of English country house comprising four distinct architectural periods, all unified within a Victorian envelope. So that's what I love about this house, that it encompasses four different architectural styles. I really like this kind of architecture, and it kind of reminds me of one build that I did in the past. It's called Frankenstone Estate. So basically I gave it that name because you kind of Frankenstein a few different styles of houses together and architecture into this interesting, unique creation. And yeah, this just reminded me of that. So it is a privately owned house today, but I guess you can go for a tour, or at least it says so on this website, and you can see the house for yourself. It also says that the current owners have refurnished the house with appropriate furniture and pictures so that the interior looks much as it did in the early 20th century photographs. So that's nice, I guess. So I'm just gonna read the last bit from the website. Originally a modest late medieval Tudor manor, it was extended in the 17th century and then in the later 18th century by Pickford of Derby when a substantial Georgian house was built on the southeast front. Again remodeled between 1850 and 1864 by T.C. Hine of Nottingham, Ogston reached its apogee as a full-blown Victorian mansion in Elizabethan Jacobean style. The house has been home to the Revels Turbots, and since 1973, the Wakefield family, who have extensively restored it. Ogston was described by Henry Thorold in his Shell Guide to Derbyshire, 1972, as a romantic and fascinating house, and its position by the reservoir made it look like a lakeside fairy castle, which I totally agree with. It looks absolutely magical, especially with the old stone walls and the whole climbing ivy on the walls. It just looks so beautiful. So in The Sims, I recreated two of the facades of the house, and I'm going to show you the two pictures of those. And then this backside here is just sort of improvised. just following the same style as the rest of the building. But yeah, I mostly used Gothic elements here for most of the house. We have a mix of brick and stone walls, and then I also took a bit of inspiration from the photos and also from the info that I read about the house, that it had a 5-story tower or something. So I did add a tower here on the side that you can see, and in The Sims it's 4 stories. In the back here you can see the stable, which is kind of its own separate building, and then there is this a kind of corridor that leads to it with the glass windows, and that is the conservatory or greenhouse. So yeah, this build is massive. It took me like 1 week to complete, and it has a total of 7 bedrooms, I think, and 6 bathrooms, which is a lot. On the ground floor itself, we have 3 bathrooms, even though there's just 1 bedroom there. And then the second floor has a few bedrooms and a few bathrooms, so the same goes on for the third floor. So yeah, it's a massive house. There are extra rooms for activities. But I have to tell you, I did cheat a bit with the floor plan, and if I can say so myself, I'm pretty proud of the floor plan that I made for this house. I don't show it in the video, but it's a really complicated one. And when I say I cheated, it's because I deleted the ceiling in some of the rooms. So this is on the ground floor. So some rooms are double height ceiling, and then I think one of them is triple height ceiling. So that is cheating in a way, but at the same time, it makes a very interesting floor plan, and it makes very beautiful grand rooms on the ground floor. So we have a 3-story ceiling for the living room. We have a double story ceiling for the kitchen and the dining room. I think that's it. So that really helped eliminate some of the space. Otherwise, it would have been like a much bigger house than this. It would have had much more rooms. So yeah, the part you see here is actually the front side of the house, but this specific lot has a weird orientation, so I'm not sure where the front of the house is. But anyway, this is the front side of the house, supposedly. And we just have like an outdoor seating area. This is also where I put a car. I was originally going to make a garage inside the stable, but I ended up using the whole side building for the horses. If you hear any crunchy sounds during my voiceover, never mind that. That's just my cat eating her dry food. So anyway, we have a few activities surrounding the lot. We have a swing, and we have a fire pit and a barbecue grill. I also added an archery target. It's kind of like on the corner of the build, so I'm not sure if it's yeah, you can see it here. I'm not sure if it's gonna show up on your lot, but you know, in case it doesn't, it's pretty easy to add it by yourself. And I guess that's it for the exterior, actually, so I'm just gonna continue my voiceover in the interior. I want to just say something here about the editing, and I'm sorry, but I'm kind of using a new editing method and I'm just not used to it yet. Like, it's not in my muscle memory. So I'm kind of messing up in a few places. As you can see, like, there are things just appearing out of nowhere, camera angles just jumping around, and it's because I'm not pressing the pause button on the recording correctly. So yeah, I'm just sorry about that. Here we are in the interior of the build, and I think I switched my G shade here because I realized that I was using a very dark preset before this, so it wasn't doing the interior any justice. So that's why it's a bit brighter now. Anyway, for the interior, I actually wanted to mix some contemporary with some more traditional elements. And by traditional, I mean there's a lot of Gothic stuff. So as you can see, we have the grand Gothic entrance. We have this beautiful wooden paneling and the floors, the wooden floors, and it's all in this beautiful dark wooden tones. And I just love that. And then you can see how it contrasts with the more modern and contemporary art pieces. And that's kind of the vibe that I wanted to go for the rest of the house. It's still like mostly traditional, I'd say, because the foundation of the house itself is more traditional, but the furniture is kind of more leaning modern and contemporary. But yeah, some of the rooms, like the main bedroom, is purely traditional. But like I said, there are 6 or 7 bedrooms in this house. So this is bedroom number 1. I think of it of the guest bedroom. So if you have a guest staying over, they kind of have this own wing that's kind of secluded from the rest of the house, and it comes with its own bathroom. And if you look at the bathroom here, I don't think I show it in the video because it's very tiny. But yeah, it's just 2 by 2. So I just copy and pasted the same tiny bathroom over a few times in the house. It's just the same bathroom. And then the other bathroom, I'm not sure if I show it in the video, but I think it's a 3 by 3. And I also, this bathroom here, I also copy it to the 2nd and 3rd floor. It's the same, exact same. I'm using this art gallery style throughout the hallways and the corridors of the house. So you're gonna see me use this light, which is from Pierre Sim, the MCM set, and I place it above all these beautiful paintings. You can see me mixing some traditional paintings with some modern ones, and I love that so much. And now we're moving on to the main living room. I did show you a glimpse of the triple height ceiling. You didn't see the third floor, but yeah, it is triple height. And then on the third floor, we kind of have this balcony that's overlooking the whole living room, and a smaller balcony on the second floor that overlooks it as well. So anyway, I am mixing Alexandria's Gothic fireplace with some modern furniture pieces. We have these sofas, and if I'm not mistaken, they're from Shop the Look 4 by Alexandria, along with the armchairs. And then this table is from Pierre Sim's living room mini kit. And I'm also using a mix of radiators and fireplaces in most of the rooms where I have space. And if I don't have space, it's just the radiator. I had a mood board on Pinterest that I was following for the interior, which I don't always do, but I should do more often because it resulted in a more cohesive and tied together interior. So that was nice. It's basically very similar to what I'm doing here. It's a mix of traditional and contemporary, and there is a lot of paneling in the mood board. So if you see these panel shelves here, I do use this a lot throughout the house, and I absolutely love this idea with like this gallery walls and everything. It's just so beautiful. And then after this, we're moving on to the kitchen, which is also a double height ceiling. And for the kitchen, I'm using the estate kitchen. Yeah, most of the pieces are from the estate kitchen. And let me tell you about this stove. It took forever to get to function. And it drove me crazy because I didn't know like what was making it non-functional. In the end, it's the same wall panels that I've used in the rest of the house. For some reason, it made the stove non-functional, even though I did use the basement trick, if you're familiar with that, where you place something in the basement and then raise it to the ground floor. That way it doesn't get in the way of the footprint of your Sims, and it makes stuff functional. But for some reason that trick didn't work here, and the stove was not functional no matter what I tried. So anyway, long story short, I did end up removing the black wall paneling behind just the stove. And for the rest of like the kitchen, it's actually functional, so don't worry about that. And the little room here to the right of the kitchen is just like a small tiny pantry. In that, I used Pierre Sim's party pantry set and his pro pantry set. Here is the dining room, and it has a very similar vibe to the living room. I'm using the same wallpaper and wooden panels and the Gothic fireplace. And I made this lovely kind of window seat by the window. using some armchairs from shop The Look 1, I think, by Alexandre. And then that little space behind the column archway is not functional, it's just decorative, because any tiny space behind an archway does not function in The Sims. So I just put the Mirror of Erised there, which is from the Gothic set from Alexandre. And then I use the painting trick here, where you kind of make them appear that they're put on the shelf instead of hung on the wall. And I kind of use the tool mod to help me with that by pushing them outward just a bit, which you can see here in the video. And I love that trick. It's really neat. After this, we're moving on to the game room / bar room. And for that, I mostly used stuff from the estate kit. We have a card table or a game table. We have a bar, and there is a foos table. And then after that, we just have a very tiny room that I turn into a fully functional laundry room. But if you're not a fan of laundry gameplay, you can just delete that and turn it into something else. Not sure what, maybe a mudroom would be nice. And then we have a bathroom, which is in this hexagon shape. And it's, I guess, the bathroom for the game room. So this is the staircase landing on the first floor, and it's just another gallery kind of balcony with all these different paintings and art frames. And I did forget to mention that the kind of grand hall here is 3 stories tall. So I just deleted the ceiling on this floor and the floor above. You will also see the balcony that overlooks the living room on the ground floor here. And I kind of just line it up with some bookcases. So that's the home library here. And then here we have a small, tiny bathroom and also a very small gym. And we also have the second bedroom here. And for this one, I not sure if it's for the family members or also a guest bedroom. Maybe it could be for some adult children or, not teenagers, I think. Its vibe is very similar to the first bedroom, and it also has its tiny bathroom to the side. This room here leads to the outside, which is like the rooftop of the conservatory. And I just put like a ping pong table there. And for this room here, I should warn you that the bar is not functional, and I'm not sure why. But yeah, it doesn't work. But I didn't bother to fix it because we already have a bar on the ground floor, so it wasn't absolutely necessary to be functional. And then we have another bedroom here, which I think is like for a teenager or for teenagers. It's kind of a similar vibe to the other bedrooms, but then it also has its own bigger bathroom, which is in the hexagon shape, and it's also its own walk-in closet, which is so cute. On one of the corners, I add a gaming setup, mostly using the Comfy Gamer set from from EA. And then in the other corner, I make this like vinyl corner where you can sit and listen to music on your record player. So this is where you see the third floor staircase landing. I add a small sauna room, and then there's a tiny bathroom. And then I don't show it on the video, but like to the left here, you can see a very tiny square room that's inside the clock tower. And it just leads upstairs to a fourth floor where there is a tiny room with a treasure chest and then some antique keys. So, in terms of functionality in The Sims, the treasure chest is just for storage purposes, but I like to think that it has some lore behind it in this for this family that lives in this house. And then the antique keys actually come with the event that happened with the Royalty and Legacy expansion pack, where you have to like collect keys, antique keys that belong to the families. And then they come with this display case where you can display them. So I just put those there. And then this is the balcony that overlooks the living room, as you can see. And then we just have what I'd like to think is the main bedroom for the parents, or maybe let's say the grandparents of this manor. And then there's just one last bedroom for the children. I put 2 single beds in there. And there's just one thing I hate about this floor is that it's a short wall height. I absolutely hate short walls, but I had to use them here just because the architecture wouldn't work for taller walls, if that makes sense. But anyway, that's all I have to say about the video. There's also, I guess, a small balcony outside that I'm gonna furnish, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. It's a very long video today. I'm so sorry about that, but I tried to shorten it as much as I can. So as usual, you're going to find all the necessary links in the description of the video. Just head over there. There's a link that goes to my Patreon where there's all my CC links and also the tray files. And to my supporters on Patreon, thank you guys so much. You can support me on Patreon if you want to. I'd really appreciate that. And you'll also find this on the gallery. My ID is just the same as my channel name. And I'll see you all very soon. Bye! Wait, no, I forgot to mention this nursery. But yeah, basically we have a nursery here for a baby. But if you don't want a baby, you can turn this into some other room. I originally wanted it to be a bathroom, but I thought that there are too many bathrooms in this house, so I just turned it into a nursery. But yeah, this time I'm gonna say bye for real. Bye!